cell phone. That's good. That's good. So I talked to the potion guy. I equipped a regeneration potion.
How do you think they'll close that huge hole in the sky?
Ally with the Templars, I'd imagine. I've seen them weaken magic.
What about the rebel mages?
Rebel mages probably made that damn breach.
Discriminatory.
Any circle mage wanting to join
bullshit.
needs to speak with Cullen or Cassandra. Apostates too, I suppose. Oh, you're him. Thren. Inquisition quartermaster. I'm doing what I can to supply this mess. If you find what I need to fill one of my requisitions, I'd appreciate you bringing it in.
Okay. What is your job?
What do you do here?
I make sure the Inquisition troops have food in their bellies and iron in their hands. Both are important. Lots of people expecting us to be heroes, marching all day to fight the demons. Turns out heroes need to dig latrines just like everyone else.
How did you end up here?
How does someone end up as quartermaster for the Inquisition?
I served for Eldon under Ten Loghain MacTier. Best commanding officer this world has ever seen. After they all turned on him at Denerim, though, there wasn't much use for people who held that opinion. Queen Honora offered my services to the Inquisition. It was a kindness. She knew I supported her father and got me away from the political garbage.
Logan is a Grey Warden
I
now.
understand Loghain joined the Grey Wardens after the Blight ended.
Yes. A mercy, people called it. Serving the Order, they say he betrayed. He could have led Ferelden to greatness. Instead, he lives in exile, fighting Darkspawn until the day he dies. Can I help you with something?
Tell me about
What
requisitions.
did you mean when you mentioned requisitions?
I'm making this Inquisition run with what we have, but we're not a real army. We're stretched thin on materials, so I've put up a requisition list for anything that could help our people. Here, take a look. You find some iron and a good logging site. Maybe Harriet can get our troops better weapons.
How do I fill special
If I
orders?
have material for a special order, do I bring it to you?
Just take it over there. One of my boys will take the materials or jot down what you found.
Farewell.
Make her go with you. You find anything we need, let me know.
Okay. Let's go ahead and start with the NPC converting. Let's start with the tavern.
And you've seen no signs of the Grey Wardens anywhere?
Nope.
You're certain?
Wait.
Lissa,
Can I get you anything?
what can I find in Haven?
What can you tell me about this area?
Adan is Haven's apothecary. He's been making potions and tending to the wounded as best he can. Harriet is the Inquisition smith. Whatever he can make you, Thren the quartermaster can probably find. And for anything fancier, you can try buying from Segrit. His prices aren't too high. Yet. Oh, there's also Minave. She studies beasts and things, as I understand.
Farewell.
Goodbye.
Even mountains had a heart once. When the world was young, Korth the Mountain Father kept his throne at the peak of Belnus, the mountain at the center of the world, from which you could see all the corners of the earth and sky. He saw strong men become weak, brave men become cowardly, and wise men turn foolish for love. Korth devised a plan that he might never be betrayed by his own heart by taking it out and hiding it where no soul would ever dare search for it. He sealed it inside a golden cask, buried it in the earth, and raised around it the fiercest mountains the world had ever seen, frostbacks to guard it. But without his heart, the Mountain Father grew cruel. His chest was filled with bitter mountain winds that shrieked and howled like lost souls. Food lost its flavor, music had no sweetness, and he lost all joy in the deeds of valor. He sent avalanches and earthquakes to torment the tribes of men. Gods and men rose against him, calling him a tyrant. but with no heart, Korth could not be slain. Soon there were no heroes left, either among men or gods, who would dare challenge Korth. The Lady of the Skies sent the best of her children, the swiftest, the cleverest, and strongest flyers, to scour the mountains for the missing heart. And for a year and a day they searched, but Sparrow and Raven, Vulture and Eagle, Swift and Albatross returned to her with nothing. Then the Ptarmigan spoke up and offered to find the god chief's heart. The other birds laughed, for the Ptarmigan is a tiny bird, too humble to soar, which spends half its time hopping around on the ground. The lady would not give the little creature her blessing, for the mountains were too fierce even for eagles, but the Ptarmigan set out anyway. The little bird traveled deep into the frostbacks. When she could not fly, she crawled. She hugged the ground and weathered the worst mountain winds, and so made her lonely way to the valley where the heart beat. With all the god's terrible deeds, the heart was far too heavy for the tiny bird to carry, so she rolled it, little by little, out of the valley and down a cliff. And when the golden cast struck the earth, it shattered. The heart was full almost to bursting, and the pain of it roused the mountain god to come see what had happened. When Korth neared its heart, it leapt back into his chest, and he was whole again. Then Hakon Winter's Breath bound Korth's chest with 3 bands of iron and 3 bands of ice, so it could never again escape, and all the remaining gods named the Ptarmigan, honored above even the loftiest of eagles. Let's go ahead and get my main party out of the way.
The chosen of Andraste, a blessed hero sent to save us all.
I've no interest in being a hero. All I want is to find a way to seal this breach.
Pragmatic, but ultimately irrelevant. I've journeyed deep into the Fade in ancient ruins and battlefields to see the dreams of lost civilizations. I've watched as hosts of spirits clash to reenact the bloody past in ancient wars, both famous and forgotten. Every great war has its heroes. I'm just curious what kind you'll be.
What do you mean, ruins and battlefields?
Any building strong enough to withstand the rigors of time has a history. Every battlefield is steeped in death. Both attract spirits. They press against the veil, weakening the barrier between our worlds. When I dream in such places, I go deep into the Fade. I can find memories no other living being has ever seen.
You fall asleep in the middle of ancient ruins. Isn't that dangerous?
I do set wards. And if you leave food out for the giant spiders, they are usually content to live and let live.
I've never heard of anyone going so far into the Fade. That's extraordinary.
Thank you. It's not a common field of study for obvious reasons. Not so flashy as throwing fire or lightning. The thrill of finding remnants of a 1,000-year-old dream? I would not trade it for anything. I will stay there. At least until the breach has been closed.
Was that in doubt?
I am an apostate surrounded by Chantry forces in the middle of a mage rebellion. Cassandra has been accommodating, but you understand my caution.
Cassandra trusts you. She won't let anyone put you into a circle against your will.
Thank you. I appreciate the thought. But now let us hope either the mages or the Templars have the power to seal the breach. Closing the breach is our primary goal. But I hope we might also discover what was used to create it. Any artifact of such power is dangerous. The destruction of the Conclave proves that much.
Think it survived?
You don't think whatever created the explosion was destroyed in the blast?
You survived, did you not? The artifact that created the breach is unlike anything seen in this age. I will not believe it destroyed until I see the shattered fragments with my own eyes.
I agree.
We would do well to try to recover whatever created the breach.
Liliana's people have scoured the area near the blast and found nothing. Whatever the artifact was, it is no longer there. In any case, did you need me for anything?
Tell me about the
What do
Fade.
you know about the Fade?
A great deal, for my wanderings. There are few hard facts, but I can share what I have learned.
Okay. Tell me about the breach.
I'd like to know more about the breach.
Simply put, it is a tear in the veil between this world and the Fade, allowing spirits to enter the world physically. Small tears occur naturally when magic weakens the veil, or when spirits cluster at an area that has seen many deaths. But your mark allows you to exert some control over the breach. That means it was created deliberately.
Okay. Tell me about the veil.
I'd like to know more about the veil.
Circle mages call it a barrier between this world and the Fade, but according to my studies in ancient elven lore, that is a vast oversimplification. Without it, imagine if spirits entered freely. The Fade was not a place one went, but a state of nature like the wind.
That sounds marvelous.
It sounds like it would be wonderful.
And dangerous. But yes, a world where imagination defines reality, where spirits are as common as trees or grass. Instead, spirits are strange and fearful, and the Fade is a terrifying world touched only by mages and dreamers. I am glad that I'm not alone in seeing the beauty of such a world, along with the obvious peril.
Tell me about demons.
I'd like to know more about demons.
Your circle says that demons hate the natural world and seek to bring their chaos and destruction to the living. But such simplistic labels misconstrue their motivations, and in so doing, do all a great disservice. Spirits wish to join the living, and a demon is that wish gone wrong.
Can we change that?
Is there a way to coexist? To live with them? If not in peace, at least without such active confrontation.
Not in the world we know today. The veil creates a barrier that makes true understanding most unlikely. But the question is a good one, and it matters that you thought to ask.
We'll talk later.
Goodbye. What can I do for you?
Tell me about yourself.
I'd like to know more about you, Solus.
Why?
I respect you.
You're an apostate. Yet you risked your freedom to help the Inquisition.
Not the wisest course of action when framed that way.
I appreciate the work you're doing, Solus. I just wanted to know more about you.
I'm sorry. With so much fear in the air. What would you know of me?
Why study the
What
Fade?
made you start studying the Fade?
I grew up in a village to the north. There was little to interest a young man, especially one gifted with magic. But as I slept, spirits of the Fade showed me glimpses of wonders I had never imagined. I treasured my dreams. Being awake, out of the Fade, became troublesome.
It's
Spirits
dangerous.
try to tempt you.
No more than a brightly colored fruit is deliberately tempting you to eat it. I learned how to defend myself from more aggressive spirits, and how to interact safely with the rest. I learned how to control my dreams with full consciousness. There was so much I wanted to explore.
Clearly woke
Gather you
up.
didn't spend your entire life dreaming.
No. Eventually, I was unable to find new areas in the Fade.
Why?
2 reasons. First, the Fade reflects the world around it. Unless I traveled, I would never find anything new. Second, the Fade reflects and is limited by our imaginations. To find interesting areas, one must be interesting.
Is this why you joined the Inquisition?
I joined the Inquisition because we were all in terrible danger. If our enemies destroyed the world, I would have nowhere to lay my head while dreaming of the Fade.
I wish you luck.
Thank you. In truth, I've enjoyed experiencing more of life to find more of the Fade.
How so?
You train your will to control magic and withstand possession. Your indomitable focus is an enjoyable side benefit. You have chosen a path whose steps you do not dislike because it leads to a destination you enjoy. As have I.
You said you traveled to many different places.
This world, or its memory, is reflected in the Fade. Dream in ancient ruins, and you may see a city lost to history. Some of my fondest memories were found in crumbling cities, long picked dry by treasure seekers, the best of the battlefields. Spirits press so tightly on the veil that you can slip across with but a thought.
Any place in particular?
I dreamt at Ostagar. I witnessed the brutality of the Darkspawn and the valor of the Ferelden warriors. I saw Alistair and the hero Ferelden light the signal fire, and Logain's infamous betrayal of Kaelin's forces.
I've heard the stories. It would be interesting to hear what it was really like.
That's just it. In the Fade, I see reflections created by spirits who react to the emotions of the warriors. One moment, I see heroic wardens lighting the fire, and a power-mad villain sneering as he lets King Kaelin fall. The next, I see an army overwhelmed and a veteran commander refusing to let more soldiers die in a lost cause.
You can't tell which is real.
It is the Fade. They are all real.
Have you always traveled and studied alone?
Not at all. I have built many lasting friendships. Spirits of wisdom, possessed of ancient knowledge, happy to share what they had seen. Spirits of purpose helped me search. Even wisps, curious and playful, would point out treasures I might have missed.
I don't know of any spirits by those names.
They rarely seek this world. When they do, their natures do not often survive exposure to the people they encounter. Wisdom and purpose are too easily twisted to pride and desire.
You're saying that you became friends with Pride and Desire demons?
They were not demons for me.
Meaning?
The Fade reflects the minds of the living. If you expect a spirit of wisdom to be a pride demon, it will adapt. And if your mind is free of corrupting influences, if you understand the nature of the spirit, they can be fast friends.
That's
I'm
amazing.
impressed that you could become friends with spirits.
Anyone who can dream has the potential. Few ever try. My friends comforted me in grief and shared my joy. Yet, because they exist without form, as we understand it, the Chantry declares that spirits are not truly people. Is Cassandra defined by her cheekbones and not her faith? Varric by his chest hair and not his wit?
Yes, spirits are people.
I hadn't thought about it that way. But I see your point.
Thank you. Few are willing to entertain such a notion.
We'll talk later.
Goodbye.
Okay. So next, Varric. And then on to the main quest. Well, not directly on the main quest, but onto the thing that triggers the main quest for us.
So, now that Cassandra's out of earshot, are you holding up all right? I mean, you go from being the most wanted criminal in Thedas to joining the armies of the faithful. Most people would have spread that out over more than one day.
Too many people dead up
I
there.
don't even want to think about how many lives were lost on that mountaintop.
A lot of good men and women didn't make it out of there. For days now, we've been staring at the breach, watching demons and maker knows what fall out of it. Bad for morale would be an understatement. I still can't believe anyone was in there and lived.
Why did you stay?
If it was that bad, why did you stay? Cassandra said you were free to go.
I like to think I'm as selfish and irresponsible as the next guy, but this... Thousands of people died on that mountain. I was almost one of them. And now there's a hole in the sky. Even I can't walk away and just leave that to sort itself out.
I mean, I was fortunate.
It's pure luck that I escaped.
Good luck or bad? You might want to consider running at the first opportunity. I've written enough tragedies to recognize where this is going. Heroes are everywhere. I've seen that. But the hole in the sky... that's beyond heroes. We're going to need a miracle.
Okay.
Need something?
I have questions about Hawk.
I've read your Tale of the Champion, and I have a few questions.
That's a pretty common reaction. Go ahead.
What happened to Anders?
What happened to the mage who destroyed the Kirkwall Chantry? The book never said.
He fled Kirkwall with the mages from the Circle. Stayed with them a while, but he had to move on. Somehow a lot of mages blamed him for making them live as fugitives. I don't know where he is now, and I don't want to know.
In the
Orsino's
book,
fate.
you say that first Enchanter Orsino turned himself into a giant monster made of corpses. How? Why?
Do I look like an expert on magical weirdness to you? Well, I can't tell you how. For the why, all I can say is he was desperate.
What happened to the
Your book
Irish
didn't
shock?
say what happened after the Irish shock left Kirkwall.
He kind of lost the tome of Coslin again, along with the thief. As I understand it, he returned to Parvalin to find the Qunari equivalent of a court-martial waiting for him. There's a new guy named Arishok now, and asking about the old one is a nightmare of logic and grammar.
The Arishok is dead, long live the Arishok, basically.
Where are the rest of Hawke's associates now?
Meryl decided to look after the elves left homeless by the fighting. She's done a pretty good job of keeping them away from the mages and Templars, so far. I guess she has plenty of practice avoiding stupid human battles with her old Dalish clan. Fenris has kept himself busy, hunting down the Tevinter slavers who came south to prey on the refugees. I'm not sure exactly where he is at the moment. You can usually follow the trail of corpses, though. Sebastian went back to Starkhaven. I'm sure he's boring all sorts of people there. Hawk's brother Carver is still in the Free Marches, helping the Kirkwall Guard keep order. Aveline is still guard captain. I'm pretty sure Kirkwall would fall into the sea if she quit her job. Need something?
Personal question.
Can I ask you something, Varric?
You want to talk about me? I'm flattered. Also inclined toward extravagant lies.
Where are you from?
Are you from Ferelden? Or Ley?
Free Marches, born and raised in Kirkwall. And despite whatever you've heard, no, Kirkwall's not that bad.
So, what do you do?
I'm not clear on your line of work. You're a merchant.
I'm a businessman. My family has a seat in the Dwarven Merchants Guild. Merchants buy and sell goods. Businessmen buy and sell stores. In my spare time, I manage a spy network, and occasionally, I write books.
Could you do
If you
Liliana's
run a
job?
spy network, why is Liliana our spy master?
To be honest with you, she's just a better spy master. The truly great ones can keep their distance. They don't get attached to their people. Me, I always wind up babysitting my informants and worrying about their families. We're in better hands with her.
What kind of books
You're
do you
an
write?
author. What kind of books have you written?
I've tried my hands at a few genres. My crime serials are my most popular. Hard in Hightown, guards breaking the rules to get things done. The Tale of the Champion is the most famous thing I've written, or infamous maybe. I started a romance serial once, Swords and Shields, but to be honest, I don't have a knack for romances. Most of my stories end in tragedy. Probably that says something unfortunate about me personally.
And what shops do you own?
What sort of shops do you own?
Actually, we don't own shops. That was just an example. Mostly we invest in moneylenders. Auction houses, a few mercenary companies, a couple of smithies. I think we own half a beet plantation in Ravane somewhere. Most of that's my brother's doing. Bartrand had business sense. Not much tact, but loads of business sense.
How do you know Cassandra?
How do you and Cassandra know each other?
You heard about the Kirkwall Chantry being destroyed? The guy responsible used to be a friend of mine. The Seeker had questions about that, and I had answers.
Tell me about the crossbow.
Where did you get that crossbow? I've never seen one like it.
Bianca? She's one of a kind. I won her from Paragon Smith Bronca in a game of Wicked Grace. She was such a sore loser. Ran off to the deep roads in a huff, and that was the last anyone saw of her.
Why Bianca?
Who's she named for?
I can't tell you.
Why not?
And the reason for that is?
Complicated. It's the one story I'll never tell. We just have to leave it at that.
Thanks, Varric.
No problem.
Double check to make sure that
Need
was
something?
it. Tell me about Red Lyrium.
The red lyrium we found at the temple seemed to upset you.
My brother Bartrand and I sort of discovered Red Lyrium during an expedition in the Deep Roads. We located an ancient Tig, so old it barely looked dwarven. There was this idol there made of it. Bartrand brought it back to the surface, and, well, everything's gone downhill from there.
What is it exactly?
So what is it? Just another kind of lyrium?
The red stuff is lyrium like a dragon is a lizard.
Wow.
It's not just a different color. It has a whole host of weirdness all its own. I've written to every
accurate,
mining cast
given
house
what
in
happened in
Orzammar.
two, but-
No one's seen this stuff before or knows where it came from.
What makes it special?
Regular lyrium can mess you up pretty badly, but you have to ingest it for that to happen. Red lyrium messes with your mind when you're just near the stuff. You hear singing, get violent, paranoid, and then it does creepy shit. Makes things float, brings statues to life. It also turned Kirkwall's Knight Commander to lyrium. Everyone's been kept at least 100 paces from it since.
How did the red lyrium get in the Temple of Sacred Ashes?
I don't know. So as far as I knew, the only piece to make it to the surface was destroyed. And the location of the tide it came from is a secret. Did someone find more of it in the deep roads? That's not a cheery thought.
I think that's enough on red lyrium.
Yeah, not really my favorite subject.
Okay.
Can I help you with something?
How does someone end up?
Okay.
I said after the Queen and it was a...
Okay, so I've got to finish that side quest at some point. But first,
Should we surrender or don't be foolish.
let's go ahead and get into war gear. Let's see here. Armor. Nope. Yep.
Does it trouble you?
Trying to decide. Yeah, sad.
If it wasn't enough to close the breach, what use is it?
You did everything we asked of you.
And it still didn't work.
What's important is that your mark is now stable, as is the breach. You've given us time, and Solas believes a second attempt might succeed, provided the mark has more power. The same level of power used to open the breach in the first place. That is not easy to come by.
Sounds like fun.
What harm could there be in powering up something we barely understand?
Hold on to that sense of humor. May I present Commander Cullen, leader of the Inquisition's forces.
Such as they are. We lost many soldiers in the valley, and I fear many more before this is through.
This is Lady Josephine Montelier, our ambassador and chief diplomat.
I've heard much. It's a pleasure to meet you at last.
And of course, you know Sister Liliana.
My position here involves a degree of...
She is our spy master.
Yes, tactfully put, Cassandra.
Okay. So, give me a second. I had to step out and grab something from the moped. These are the advisors. They will be giving us, well, not really side quests, but they will be giving us additional access to certain items and things to boost our influence in the world. It is a pleasure to meet you.
Pleased to meet you all.
I mentioned that your mark needs more power to close the breach for good.
Which means we must approach the rebel mages for help.
And I still disagree. The Templars could serve just as well.
We
I
need
disagree.
Power, Commander.
The rebel
Enough
mages
magic poured into that
increases
mark.
my likelihood of being
Might
able to
destroy
romance
us
Dormian.
all. Templars could suppress the breach, weaken it, so...
Pure speculation.
I was a Templar. I know what they're capable of.
Unfortunately, neither group will even speak to us yet. The Chantry has denounced the Inquisition, and you specifically.
They still think I did it?
They still think I'm guilty.
Yeah.
That is not the entirety of it any longer. Some are calling you, a mage, the Herald of Andraste. That frightens the Chantry. The remaining clerics have declared it blasphemy, and we, heretics, for harboring you.
Chancellor Roderick's doing, no doubt.
It limits our options. Approaching the mages or Templars for help is currently out of the question.
The Herald of Andraste.
Just how am I the Herald of Andraste?
People saw what you did at the temple, how you stopped the breach from growing. They have also heard about the woman seen in the rift when we first found you. They believe that was Andraste.
Even if we tried to stop that view from spreading.
Which we have not.
The point is, everyone is talking about you.
It's quite the title, isn't it? How do you feel about that?
They're wrong.
I'm no herald of anything, particularly not Andraste.
I'm sure the Chantry would agree.
People are desperate for a sign of hope. For some, you're that sign. And to others, a symbol of everything that's gone wrong.
Could we be attacked?
Will the Chantry attack us?
With what? They have only words at their disposal.
And yet, they may bury us with them. There is something you can do. A Chantry cleric by the name of Mother Giselle has asked to speak to you. She is not far, and knows those involved far better than I. Her assistance could be invaluable.
I'll talk to her.
I'll see what she has to say.
You will find Mother Giselle tending to the wounded in the hinterlands near Redcliffe.
Look for other opportunities to expand the Inquisition's influence while you're there.
We need agents to extend our reach beyond this valley, and you're better suited than anyone to recruit them.
In the meantime, let's think of other options. I won't leave this all to the Herald.
Welcome to the War Table, everybody. The War Table allows you to apply the power of the Inquisition through Orlais and Ferelden. Mother Giselle's in the hinterlands, which can be found on the Ferelden side of the table. The Inquisition can unlock new areas for you to explore through scouting operations. Perform the operation for the hinterlands on the Ferelden side of the War Table now. Let's go ahead and get my cursor and click. Come on. There we go.
Have you kept in touch with our friends in Lady Esterly's estate?
Several bards will play for her tomorrow night. We will have names soon enough.
Mother Giselle was last seen in the hinterlands outside Redcliffe, tending refugees who fled the fighting between the renegade Templars and apostate mages. The latest reports suggest that the vicious struggle between the two groups has spread to the hinterlands, catching the refugees and Mother Giselle in the middle. It is vital to protect her and, if possible, restore order to the area. If Giselle dies, any hope of Chantry support dies with her. My scouts will slip past the fighting, find her, and protect her with their lives. We've avoided the fighting as best we could. It's every bit as bad as we'd feared. The apostates are mad, attacking anything that moves. It appears that the Templars here aren't following anyone's orders any longer. We located Mother Giselle and are trying to protect her, but she refuses to leave the refugees until we've ensured their safety. That will be hard to do without troops to push the apostates and the Templars out of the area. Commander Cullen asked me to make inquiries of Master Dennett, a retired horse master of Redcliffe who lives in the area. We tried to contact him about obtaining better horses for the Inquisition, but we've been able to get through the fighting. Lead Scout Harding. Accept the report. Would you like to gather your party and venture to the hinterlands now? Not yet. You now have access to missions. Mission operations take time and bring the Inquisition resources and rewards. Only one mission per advisor can be active at a time. Some missions have a preferred type, which results in less time required when undertaken by the associated advisor. Missions may also provide different rewards depending on which advisor completes them. Okay. So, for example, another coin. Takes an hour regardless, except for Josephine. Trading in favors with the merchants and nobility is my specialty. It could earn us a great deal, if we're careful.
Let us begin.
The turn of High Ever, address a nobleman's concerns. Deal with relatives of the Trevellians. Oh boy, this can't be good. Dear Lady Montilier, it is true distant relations of the House Trevelyan are claiming close friendships with the Herald of Andraste. A boast is one matter, but the boundaries of tact and decency appear to be invisible to these mountebanks. During a ball in the South Quarter, I witnessed a cousin 5 times removed from Lord Trevelyan threaten to have the Inquisition fight his rival. He quickly left the party after I made my connection with the Inquisition clear, but the problem stands. We must deal with the Herald's relatives taking his name in vain. Lady Buttlefort. There are many ways to indicate our displeasure without tipping our hand. I'm not saying we send assassins, but the rumor of assassins... I see what you're putting down, Liliana. I understand. Let's see what Cullen has to say on this. The Inquisition isn't a name to throw around lightly. We should openly denounce these people. Politically? Not a good idea. Liliana?
Let's see what we have.
Okay. Address a nobleman's concerns. Herald, your Inquisition says it's for order against chaos, reason in the darkness. If you stand by this, come forth and drive the heretics from my lands. They claim to be refugees, but I have seen elves and apostates among them, filthy savages tearing at our roots. Our monarch refuses to send forth armies, and my own knights were decimated at the conclave. I require your aid to return peace to my lands. Prove your loyalty, and I will see you richly rewarded for your faith. Praise the light, Lord Kirkland of Ferelden. You can send a few patrols, but I prefer they help the refugees, not this Lord Kildarn. There we go. I agree, but hang on. Let's see what the turn of Highever is. To whom it concerns, the Tyranner of Highever wishes to convey our deepest sympathies for the death of Divine Justinia V. The Most Holy was incomparable in her wisdom and dedication to peace, and we had high hopes that her conclave would succeed. We will hold a vigil in Highever in remembrance to Justinia and cordially invite the Inquisition to attend. Sincerely, Tierna Fergus Coastland. We have a number of Ferelden officers. We should send an honor guard to Highever. That's a good idea, Colin.
All right.
Alright, let's go ahead and take care of side quests that are here in the city right now. Right? Cassandra disapproves of a couple of my actions that I've taken on this, but yay. When not in a dungeon, you can use the quest map to travel to distant locations. Press options and select the quest map in the hero menu. Press triangle from the quest map to access the world map and travel to unlocked areas. Okay. Let's go ahead and talk to our advisors, because we haven't gotten enough lore out of them yet.
The Inquisition cannot remain, Ambassador, if you can't prove it was founded on Justinia's orders.
This is an inopportune time, Marquis. More of the faithful flock here each day. But allow me to introduce you to the brave soul who risked his life to slow the magic of the breach. Sir Trevelyan, may I present the Marquis d'Aurelion, one of Divine Justinia's greatest supporters.
And the rightful owner of Haven. House d'Aurelion lent Justinia these lands for pilgrimage. This Inquisition is not a beneficiary of this arrangement.
You own this land.
This is the first I've heard of Haven having an owner outside the Chantry.
My wife, Lady Machin of Denner, has claimed to Haven by ancient treaty with the monarchs of Ferelden. We were honored to lend its use to Divine Justinia. She was a woman of supreme merit. I will not let an upstart order remain on her holy grounds.
People have been injured. You can't just turn them out onto the snow.
And who benefits if they stay?
Divine Justinia, Marquis. The Inquisition, not the Chantry, is sheltering the pilgrims who mourn her.
Why is the Chantry ignoring the faithful?
Because it remains in shock. We face a dark time, Your Grace. Divine Justinia would not want her passing to divide us. She would, in fact, trust us to forge new alliances to the benefit of all, no matter how strange they might seem.
I'll think on it, Lady Montillier. The Inquisition might stay in the meanwhile.
Does the Marquis own Haven?
Do the d'Aurelions actually have a claim on this place?
His Grace's position is not so strong as he presents it. Despite our Ferelden relations, the d'Aurelions are Orlesian. If the Marquis wishes to claim Haven, Empress Selene must negotiate with the Ferelden on his behalf. Her current concerns are a bit larger than minor property disputes.
Of course. You handled the Marquis well.
I'm so pleased the Marquis isn't tossing us out into the cold.
His Grace is only the first of many dignitaries we must contend with.
You expect more people in Haven?
Undoubtedly. And each visitor will spread the story of the Inquisition after they depart. An ambassador should ensure the tale is as complimentary as possible.
How did you become an ambassador?
May I ask what brought you to work for the Inquisition?
Sister Leliana approached me. We've been acquainted for quite some time. For better or worse, being the Inquisition's diplomat has become as interesting as she promised.
What's your background?
What sort of dealings have you had with nobility?
For some years, I was the royally appointed court ambassador from Antiva to Orlais. The nobility of Thedas is a rather singular sphere. Those I'm not acquainted with, I know through reputation.
I'm glad you're
The
here.
Inquisition is lucky to have you as an advocate, Lady Montillier.
Thank you. Let us hope so. Thedas's politics have become agitated as of late. I hope to guide us down smoother paths. But please excuse me. I've much work to do before the day is done.
I will go ahead and gather as much lore as possible first.
Greetings.
How did you meet Leliana?
How do you and Liliana know each other?
We moved through similar circles in Orlais. I believe we actually met in Val Royaux. Leliana was quite an accomplished player of the game by then.
What is the game?
What exactly do you mean when you say the game?
Forgive me. The game refers to the slow duels of influence among the noble and powerful of Orlais. It's a rather light-hearted name for the matter, but Orlesians are fond of playful touches.
For those of you new to the world of Dragon Age, Orlais is basically France, and Ferelden is basically medieval Europe in general, but focusing heavily on medieval Britain for cultural standpoints. So tell me about yourself. What does your family do?
What business are the Montilliers in exactly?
We began as merchants. My ancestors founded the first trade routes to Rivain. We once sent entire fleets across the Waking Sea.
Once?
But not anymore.
No. These days, our vessels are a touch more modest.
Montillier sounds familiar. He is a noble,
our families have met before.
Perhaps. Everyone of distinction in the Free Marches attends Lady Trevelyan's summer balls.
Great Aunt Lucille always did love a party.
I don't recall seeing you at any of them.
I hated the scheming.
The food was peppered with too many attempts at matchmaking for my tastes.
A common peril among nobility, no matter where one goes.
Tell me about your work.
What did you do before coming here?
I had the great honor of serving Antiva's crown as ambassador to Orlais. I'm also first in line to become the head of House Montillier, though my siblings attend to our mercantile affairs.
Are you doing this for Antiva?
How strong are your past loyalties?
I would never have given up my position if I did not intend to fully commit to the Inquisition. We cannot fall back on borders. Antiva is as threatened as any country by the rebellions. If anything, the alliances I forged there may help our current cause.
Will we have other causes?
Do you think the Inquisition will continue after we seal the breach?
If we prove ourselves by healing the breach, people may turn to us for other things. Protection, counsel, justice. The Inquisition offered these once to those in need.
Do you believe I'm holy?
Tell me, do you believe I was saved by Andraste at the Temple of Sacred Ashes?
I should much like to believe so, Your Worship. The miracles Andraste performed were so long ago, they're difficult to picture. If it were truly her and the Fade who saved you. And, in any case, many already believe you walk in the Maker's light.
Let's speak later.
Farewell. Good day to you.
Okay. What are your duties?
What exactly does your job entail?
I meet with ambassadors from various factions and countries, and cement alliances with them. We are a young cause. Diplomacy is essential to our credibility.
So you're representative.
Then you speak for the Inquisition with these nobles?
I do. Someone must foster goodwill on our behalf, as well as prevent controversy as news of us spreads.
Are we that controversial?
How heavily are our actions scrutinized?
Make no mistake, every noble house, every throne is waiting to see what the Inquisition does next. Many are willing to pledge support, if offers are made in just the right fashion. I intend to see that they are.
So what brought you here?
Tell me how you came to work for the Inquisition again.
I'd been considering leaving my post in Antiva for a new challenge when Leliana recruited me. There's such unrest in Thedas, and the Inquisition seems a promising method to stop it. It's to everyone's benefit if we prevent the Mage-Templar conflict from spreading further.
Anything to report?
What do the people make of us?
Despite our fame, we're low on steadfast allies. We must aim for more.
How are our guests?
Any visiting dignitaries I should watch out for?
Sir Griffith of Denerim, a most distinguished knight of the realm. He's defeated darkspawn, slain demons, chased down abominations. Just don't ask him about it over dinner. He spares no detail. Greetings.
Anything to report?
What do the people make of us?
Despite our fame, we're low on steadfast allies. We must aim for more.
What about our allies?
Any thoughts on the people here?
Who did you mean?
Let's talk about our warriors. Cullen.
Commander Cullen came to mind.
The commander is an intelligent, cautious man. I'm grateful he's in charge of our standing army. Still, he does sometimes resemble the man with a hammer to whom everything appears as a nail.
Let's talk about Cassandra.
I was thinking of Cassandra.
Seeker Pentagast is a princess of the Kingdom of Nevarra, although that barely seems important to her. She was not interested when I asked if we might make use of her royal relations. Still, the Inquisition would not have formed without Cassandra. She's an extraordinarily driven woman.
There is a movie about her before Dragon Age 2 that's pretty good, and I'd suggest you check it out at some point. What about our mages, specifically
What's your
Solus?
impression of Solus?
I suppose I should be wary of an apostate, but our elven mage has conducted himself with the utmost propriety. And he has the most fascinating stories.
And how about Varric?
I was thinking of Varric.
Oh, I could listen to his tales for hours. He actually let me read a chapter of his next book he's writing. My friends would be sick with envy if they knew. It's excellent, but a bit different from his past works. Only 3 beheadings so far.
Yeah, that sounds like Varric. Alright. Okay. So let's go ahead and...
Farewell. You're the Herald. Or, well, the one they're calling the Herald, anyway. It's odd to see them accepting a mage as their hero. First, we're too dangerous to let out of the circles. And then we're apostate rebels. But they seem to like you. My name is Maeve. I research demons and other creatures. Seeker Pentagast and I use what I find to help the soldiers fight them.
I found something for you.
I found something the demons left behind. Can you use it?
Yes, that's very helpful. Just leave it there and the Tranquil and I will examine it. You've brought back some fascinating things. We're putting them to good use.
So you're a mage?
You said you were a mage.
No, just an apprentice. I was a year or so from my harrowing, at least. The enchanters were being kind. I was never very good at magic. I've got just enough talent to be a danger to other people. But when the mages rebelled, people like me had nowhere to go. The Templars would have killed us. Luckily, Seeker Pentagast took me in, along with the Tranquil I was protecting.
You didn't join the rebels?
I'm surprised that even an apprentice mage wouldn't join the rebellion.
I don't like using magic to fight. I'm not good at it either. I liked studying. I liked performing rituals that helped us unlock the secrets of the Veil. I liked having the Templars around to keep us safe.
You're in the minority.
The Templars made me feel a lot of things, but never safe.
You have not lived my life. I was born into a Dalish clan. I lived there until my magic manifested. The Dalish cannot risk having too many mages in one clan. And I was one more than they could bear. They gave me a pack and sent me into the woods to find my own life. I was 7 years old.
That's awful.
I'm so sorry.
I stumbled into a village, starving and cold, a few weeks later. I started using magic to scare predators away. The villagers saw me make fire in my fist. They were terrified and wanted to kill me. Templars saved me from them. They gave me food and clothes and took me to the Circle. I've seen what life is like without the Templars, and I want no part of it. I just want to study.
You protected the Tranquil.
You said that you were keeping some of the Tranquils safe.
Yes. The mages took some of them when my Circle rebelled, but the rest were forgotten. You know how the Circle mages saw the Tranquil. They're just there to enchant items and keep the floors clean. They don't have any emotions. They can barely take care of themselves. Can't defend themselves at all. It's a shame. I like them better than most people.
They're lucky to have you.
I'm glad they have someone who cares about them.
They deserve better. They're polite, they're rational, and they'll never get angry at you. When they study, they have a focus no normal person could ever match. But the Templars, even some of the mages, mistreated them just because they could. The Tranquil never fought back. If not for that, I don't know. Doesn't really matter now.
You research creatures.
You said Cassandra has you researching creatures.
Yes. If you find anything interesting in your travels, I'd appreciate you bringing it to me. I may be able to find some weakness our soldiers can exploit when fighting various creatures. At the least, some materials are useful for making potions or gear for the Inquisition.
Why study creatures?
Why did you decide to research dangerous creatures?
I like the outdoors. The idea of the outdoors, anyway. When some monster is coming at you, glowing eyes and burning claws, it's terrifying. But once you know how it works, you can deal with it. It's just another part of the world. So much of this world is only frightening because we don't understand it.
I'll speak with you later.
Thank you again for what you've brought back. Please tell me if you find something.
Oh wait, there's something else glowing here. The children of Andraste. There are many misconceptions regarding Andraste's bloodline, monsieur. This is due to, I should think, a general lack of knowledge regarding Andraste's mortal life. Understandable, considering the many cults that arose following her death. Everyone sought to claim Our Lady for their own culture, or claim some aspect of her existence was a lie. All of them complete fabrications. My author has done considerable research to ascertain the truth. We all know that Andraste and the betrayer raised 5 children. The eldest 3 were sons, Isorath, Ivarian, and Varald. The rule of what was once southern Tevinter was split among them. Isorath was given the west, what is today Orlais. Ivarian was given the east, what is today the Free Marches. Varald was given the central Palestine, what is today Navarra. What become of these men and their legacies is the stuff of legend, and the majority of claimants to Andraste's bloodline link back to one of them. None of the 3 sons, however, were born of Andraste. They were born of the betrayer's concubine, Gilvan. People chose to overlook the fact that Andraste came from the Almare tribesmen and that they were barbarians, not the Fereldans we know today. They were savage warriors who took concubines in addition to their wives, and because Andraste was thought to be too weak to bear children, the betrayer took Gilvan to provide him heirs, which she did. After her death, the sons were raised as Andraste's own. Later in life, Andraste proved predictions wrong and had 2 daughters by the betrayer, Ebris and Vival. They were kept out of the public eye and not permitted to marry, though both had consorts. Ebris had 1 child, Olivamar, who perished on a voyage to Denerim less than a month after her mother felt a plague, and without children of her own. The younger daughter, Vival, was more controversial, a strong-headed woman who defied her family by falling in love with a mage of Tevinter, Regulon. Vival and Regulon went into self-imposed exile as the Exalted March began, and into hiding following Andraste's betrayal and murder. What became of Vival and her descendants is largely unknown for one primary reason. She had only daughters. Each one of these daughters had only daughters. They married into other families and took their other names, and in the chaos of the Second Blight, all traces of survivors were lost. Andraste's true bloodline, if it exists, lies solely in the descendants of Aval, and the suspicion of my order is that it produces only daughters. Thus the claims of your young men, Monsieur, are highly suspect. That is interesting.
All things in this world are finite. What one man gains, another has lost. Those who steal from their brothers and sisters do harm to their livelihood and to their peace of mind. Our Maker sees this with a heavy heart.
I do like how the sounds are dynamic, though, where if I rotate the camera, it sounds like it's coming from the direction that the NPCs are. I like that. That's interesting. The exception is when in conversations. So let's go ahead and loot the dungeons before we fill them up. Ooh. Cordelius Draken, king of the city-state of Orlais, was a man of uncommon ambition. In the year -15 Ancient, the young king began construction of the great temple dedicated to the Maker, and declared that by its completion he would not only have united the warring city-states of the south, he would have brought Andrastian belief to the world. In -3 Ancient, the temple was completed. There in its heart, Draken knelt before the eternal flame of Andraste, and was crowned ruler of the Empire of Orlais. His first act as emperor to declare the Chantry as the established Andrastian religion of the Empire. It took 3 years and several hundred votes before Alessia of Montismart was elected to lead the new Chantry. Upon her coronation as divine, she took the name Justinia, in honor of the disciple who recorded Andraste's songs. In that moment, the ancient era ended and the divine age began. From Ferelden, Folklore and History, by Sister Petrine, Chantry Scholar. Okay. And light the torch. Not that it's going to stay lit, but it was an interactable object. Okay. Doesn't appear there's anything else of interest in the dungeons, since I'm not a rogue. Ooh. Another book. The Chantry is the titular head of the the Divine is the titular head of the Chantry. Although since the schism split the Imperial Chantry into its own faction, there are now in fact 2 divines at any one time. One divine is a woman housed in the Grand Cathedral in Valrayo. The other, known as the Black Divine, is a man housed in the Argent Spire in Manrathus. Neither divine recognizes the existence of the other, and the informal names are considered sacrilegious. No matter the gender, a divine is addressed as Most Holy or your perfection. Beneath the rank of divine is the Grand Cleric. Each Grand Cleric presides over numerous chantries and represents the highest religious authority for their region. They travel to Valrayo when the College of Clerics convenes, but otherwise they remain where they are assigned. All Grand Clerics are addressed as Your Grace. Beneath the Grand Cleric is the Mother, or in the Imperial Chantry, the Father. If a mother is in charge of a particular chantry, Revered is appended to her title. These are the priests responsible for administering the spiritual well-being of their flock. A mother or revered mother is addressed as Your Reverence. Brothers and sisters form the rank and file of the Chantry and consist of 3 main groups: affirmed, initiates, and clerics. Affirmed are the lay brethren of the Chantry, those regular folk who have turned to the Chantry for succor. Often there are people who have lived a difficult or irreligious life and have chosen to go into seclusion, or even orphans and similar unfortunates who were raised into Chantry life. The affirmed take care of the Chantry, and are in turn afforded a life of quiet contemplation, no questions asked. Only those folk who take vows become initiates. These are the men and women in training, whether in academic knowledge or the martial skills of a warrior. All initiates receive an academic education, although only those who seek to become Templar learn how to fight in addition. Clerics are the true academics of the Chantry, those men and women who have dedicated themselves in the pursuit of knowledge. They are often found in Chantry archives, sages presiding over libraries of books and arcane knowledge. The most senior of these clerics, placed in charge of such archives, are given the title of Elder. Although such a rank is still beneath that of a mother, all other brothers and sisters are addressed simply by noting their title before their names, such as Brother Gentivi. Alright. go ahead and explore the rest of our headquarters.
From the lowest slaves to the highest kings, those who bring harm without provocation to the least of his children.
There was no word for heaven or for earth, for sea or sky. All that existed was silence. Then the voice of the Maker rang out, the first word, and his word became all that might be. Dream and idea, hope and fear, endless possibilities. And from it he made his firstborn, and he said to them, In my image I forge you. To you I give dominion over all that exists. By your will may all things be done. Then in the center of heaven he called forth a city with towers of gold, cities with music for cobblestones, and banners which flew without wind. There he dwelled, waiting to see the wonders his children would create. The children of the Maker gathered before his golden throne and sang hymns of praise unending. But their songs were the songs of the cobblestones. They shone with the golden light reflected from the Maker's throne. They held from the banners that flew on their own. And the voice of the Maker shook the fade, saying, In my image I have wrought my firstborn. You have been given dominion over all that exists. By your will all things are done, yet you do nothing. The realm I have given you is formless and ever-changing. He knew he had wrought amiss, and the Maker turned from his firstborn and took from the fade a measure of its living flesh and placed it apart from the spirits and spoke to it, saying, Here I declare opposition in all things, for earth, sky, for winter, summer, for darkness, light. But my will alone is balance sundered and the world given new life. And no longer was it formless, ever-changing, but held fast, immutable. With words for heaven and for earth, sea and sky, at last did the Maker from the living world make men immutable as the substance of the earth, with souls made from dream and idea, hope and fear, endless possibilities. Then the Maker said, To you, my second-born, I grant this gift. In your heart shall burn an unquenchable flame, all-consuming and never satisfied. From the fade I crafted you, and to the fade you shall return each night in dreams, that you may always remember me. And then the Maker sealed the gates of the golden city, and there he dwelled, waiting to see the wonders his children would create. Okay.
Maker, though the darkness comes upon me, I shall embrace the light. I shall weather the storm. I shall endure. What you have created, no one can tear asunder.
Alright, so, now that we have explored the headquarters, side quests. Alrighty, so, journal. Let us start. The Inquisitor's Path is the main story quest line, if I'm remembering right. The Inner Circle, Seeing Red, those are loyalty quests. The Falomar, we haven't unlocked. Haven, here we go. Find Tegan's notes.
O Creator, see me kneel, for I walk only where you would bid me.
The last person we have to talk to on our way out is Cassandra, and here's Cullen. So let's go ahead and get Cullen's interactions away.
There's a shield in your hand. Walk with it. If this man were your enemy, you'd be dead. Lieutenant, don't hold back. The recruits must prepare for a real fight, not a practice one.
Yes, Commander.
We've received a number of recruits. Locals from Haven and some pilgrims. None made quite the entrance you did.
I mean, I'm glad I'm here.
I just hope I can help.
As do we all. It is enough that you would try. I was recruited to the Inquisition in Kirkwall myself. I was there during the Mage Uprising. I saw firsthand the devastation it caused.
Sir.
Cassandra sought a solution. When she offered me a position, I left the Templars to join her cause. Now it seems we face something far worse.
I believe the marker will help.
I must have this mark for a reason. It will work, I'm sure of it.
Provided we can secure aid, but I'm confident we can. The Chantry lost control of both Templars and Mages. Now they argue over a new Divine while the breach remains. The Inquisition could act when the Chantry cannot. Our followers would be part of that. There's so much we can...
Forgive me. I doubt you came here for a lecture.
Believe me, I like your enthusiasm.
No, but if you have one prepared, I'd love to hear it.
Another time, perhaps. There's still a lot of work ahead.
Commander, Sir Raiden has a report on our supply lines.
As I was saying.
And that is the only opportunity I can have to flirt with Cullen that won't automatically turn sour. Let's go ahead and get our conversation with Cassandra out of the way before we finish our conversation with Cullen, I guess.
Ugh.
Are you alright?
Worried?
Is it that obvious?
I'm afraid so.
Did I do the right thing? What I have set in motion here could destroy everything I have revered my whole life. One day they may write about me as a traitor, a madwoman, a fool, and they may be right.
What do you believe?
What does your faith tell you?
I believe you are innocent. I believe more is going on here than we can see. And I believe no one else cares to do anything about it. They will stand in the fire and complain that it is hot. But is this the Maker's will? I can only guess.
What happens next?
What's going to happen now?
Now, we deal with the Chantry's panic over you before they do even more harm. Then we close the breach. We are the only ones who can. After that, we find out who is responsible for this chaos, and we end them. And if there are consequences to be paid for what I have done, I pay them. I only pray the price is not too high.
You had to do it.
You didn't have any choice.
Didn't I? My trainers always said, Cassandra, you are too brash. You must think before you act. I see what must be done, and I do it. I see no point in running around in circles like a dog chasing its tail. But I misjudged you in the beginning, did I not? I thought the answer was before me, clear as day. I cannot afford to be so careless again.
You had cause.
It wasn't like you had no reason to suspect me.
I was determined to have someone answer for what happened. Anyone. You've said you don't believe you're chosen. Does that mean you also don't believe in the Maker?
I do believe.
I believe he exists.
That's comforting. Surely the Maker put us both on this path for a reason. Now it simply remains to see where it leads us.
All right.
You traveled some distance to reach Haven. You're from the Circle in Ostwick?
I'm glad to be away.
I was. It's exciting, being away from that life, being somewhere new. Maybe that's selfish, given what's happened.
No, it's only fair, I suppose. We are grateful for your assistance.
Are you with anyone?
Did you leave anyone behind in Kirkwall?
No. I fear I made few friends there, and my family's in Ferelden.
No one special caught your interest?
I can't say I was looking. Honestly, I was not good company back then.
Perhaps I might interest you?
I might enjoy your company.
I would value your friendship. I'm afraid I cannot offer more. I trust you'll understand.
Yep.
Did you need something?
Anything I should know?
Is there anything I should know?
Not at present.
Why did the Templar leave?
Why would Templars break away from the Chantry?
The Order believes the Chantry no longer supports their efforts. Not to the extent they should.
What changed?
But the Templars have served the Chantry for ages.
In that time, they've come to take the Order's services for granted. Templars risk their lives against blood magic, demons, abominations, to feel as if those efforts are dismissed. I may disagree with the Order's actions, but I'm here as proof of it. I sympathize with their frustrations.
Tell me about the Templar life.
I'd like to know more about the Templars.
If you need insight into what the Order is doing now, I'm afraid I can't offer more than you already know. Anything else, I will answer as best I can.
Why did you become a Templar?
Why did you join the Order?
I could think of no better calling than to protect those in need. I used to beg the Templars at our local chantry to teach me. At first, they merely humored me. I must have shown promise, or at least a willingness to learn. The Knight Captain spoke to my parents on my behalf. They agreed to send me for training. I was 13 when I left home.
That's not very old.
13? That's still so young.
I wasn't the youngest there. Some children are promised to the Order at infancy. Still, I didn't take on full responsibilities until I was 18. The Order sees you trained and educated first.
What about your family?
What about your family? Did you miss them?
Of course. But there were many my age who felt the same. We learned to look out for one another.
What? Tell me about the vows.
The Templars take vows. I swear to the Maker to watch all the mages, that sort of thing.
There's a vigil first. You're meant to be at peace during that time, but your life is about to change. When it's over, you give yourself to a life of service. That's when you're given the filter, your first draft of Lyria and its power. As Templars, we are not to seek wealth or acknowledgement. Our lives belong to the Maker and the path we have chosen.
What do Templar do?
Prior to the Conclave, I'd only encountered Templars in the Circle. Do they do anything besides guard mages?
Templars protect against the dangers of magic. Before the Order left the Chantry, that meant serving in the Circle. They were also tasked with tracking apostates, or fighting demons inevitably summoned by the weak or malicious.
What do you think of mages?
What do you think of mages? Are they all a threat?
I've seen the suffering magic can inflict. I've treated mages with distrust because of it, at times without cause. That was unworthy of me. I'll try not to do so. Not that I want mages moving through our base completely unchecked. We need safeguards in place to protect people, including mages, from possession, at least.
You've lived in a circle.
I know how I spent my time in the Circle. But what was a typical day for a Templar?
Typical? The last time I was in a Circle was right before it fell apart. Nothing was typical.
Before that day?
Certain rituals require a full guard. A mage's howling, for instance. I've attended a few. Most of the time, you merely maintain a presence, on patrol or in the Circle, ready to respond if needed. Mages pretend to ignore that presence, but they're watching you just as closely.
Do you not speak to the mages?
We would spend all day with Templars, and yet they rarely spoke to us.
A habit often mistaken for coldness, I'm sure. But we are expected to keep a certain distance from our charges. If a mage is possessed or uses blood magic, we must act quickly, without hesitation. Your judgment cannot be clouded. Of course, ignoring one another does nothing to foster understanding.
How are Templars trained?
What does Templar training involve?
There is weapon and combat training. Even without their abilities, Templars are among the best warriors in Thales. Initiates must also memorize portions of the Chant of Light, study history, and improve their mental focus.
Did you enjoy it?
That's all I wanted to know.
Jeez.
Thank you.
Should you require anything, I'll be here.
Yeah. Left thumbstick moved in the wrong direction. Okay.
We cannot stay here. Why not?
Alright. So, I think this purple area is a search circle, maybe? When the compass pulses, press L3 to search. Okay. It's guiding me to... Okay. So that side quest is ready to turn in whenever we get back to town. Okay. That was easy. Requisition for weapons. That takes us back to town. Let's go ahead and see what's out of town, because it looks like there's a quest objective there as well. Okay, so it looks like I need to gather 5 iron. Oh, look. Okay, so the iron's literally right there. But that's not the quest marker, so what is? Might as well gather extra while I'm at it. Having extra resources never hurt anyone. Except for when their inventory couldn't handle it. Okay, so we're in the search circle. Okay, and there's the edge. Wait a minute. Aha! I walked right over it. There it is. So now, all I have to do is head back to town. Okay. Let's see if there's a quick travel spot in town, maybe. If there is, it isn't unlocked yet. Okay. So, I guess this way, if we're going to match the compass. Okay. More iron. If I'm remembering correctly, weapons require metal to craft anyway, so guess we're heading back the way we came. So, requisition for weapons, locate a logging stand and iron, and that should be for us to be able to craft our own swords, if I'm remembering correctly, was what the requisition said. So, not for us, but for the army that we're going to be raising, because that's a thing. Whole lot of stuff in a very small area. Elf root. More elf root. This is one of the main ingredients for the healing potions. So, the more of these we have, the better. Okay. There we go. Yeesh, that breach still looks scary. I guess I could finish my conversation with Colin.
I'd like to know more.
What would you like to know?
How are the Templars trained? There we go.
Training involved.
There is weapon and combat training. Even without their abilities, Templars are among the best warriors in Thedas. Initiates must also memorize portions of the Chant of Light, study history, and improve their mental focus.
Did you enjoy it?
Did you enjoy your training?
To learn everything. If I was giving my life to this, I would be the best Templar I could.
You were a model student.
I wanted to be. I wasn't always successful. Watching a candle burn down while reciting the Chant of Transfigurations wasn't the most exciting task. I admit, my mind sometimes wandered.
That was all on the Templar front.
Thank you.
Another time, then. Was there something you needed?
Tell me about yourself.
To get to know you better. We're working together after all.
What would you like to know?
All right. Where are you from?
Yikes, what is this? Okay. My esteemed Lady Sedona, I'd like to take full responsibility for Lady Marshaletta's odd behavior of late. You see, we recently began the study of history. I thought it would be good for the young mistress to do some good to be exposed to all the Philadosian cultures and not just Orlais. It was a foolish thought. Regrettably, your dear daughter has taken a particular interest in Ferelden folklore. She first developed an affinity for King Callanhead, which seems to have devolved into a borderline infatuation. She stared at me, eyes wide, when I told how he unified the barbarians with his allegedly incomparable might and charisma. Every time I tried to move the lesson onto something more important, she insisted I tell her again about Callanhead. How the Fereldans say his hair was twice as yellow as the sun, his chin more chiseled than the tallest peak in the Frostbacks. Twice now I've had to tear down the drawing she's tacked up on the bedroom of the man shirtless. Then we moved on to the werewolves, which was even worse. As you may already know, the Fereldans venerate the folk heroes Dane and Hafter. Dane is said to have been a werewolf, and Hafter to have descended from one. No enlightened man or woman could ever view such beast people with anything but revulsion, but you know Fereldans and their love of wildlife. Unfortunately, these tales of the wolfmen set the little mistress's imagination on fire. When she suggested we put on a play for you and her lord father, I could not say no. I'm afraid that's why Marshalletta was running through the mansion, wearing wet furs and frightening the chambermaids. She was rehearsing a scene in which Hafter drives back the Darkspawn. I've been informed that some priceless family heirlooms were destroyed amidst all the confusion, and I cannot fully express my dismay. I understand if my abject failure as a tutor results in my immediate dismissal.
I grew up in Ferelden, near Honwood. I was transferred to Kirkwall shortly after the
That was weird. I had no idea that was going to pop up.
10 years.
You were away for a long time.
You haven't seen Ferelden in 10 years. Are you glad to be back?
I was not sorry to leave at the time. I did not expect to return. Now, between the Divine's murder and the breach, I've arrived to find nothing but chaos.
Tell me about the Blight.
You were in Ferelden during the Blight. Did you fight Darkspawn?
No. I was stationed at Ferelden's Circle Tower. The Circle had troubles of its own. I remained there during the Blight.
What happened at the Circle?
What happened at the Circle Tower?
You who survived the Blight have fond memories of that time. I would prefer not to speak.
Tell me about Kirkwall then.
What was Kirkwall like?
While I was there, Canary occupied and then attacked the city. The Viscount's murder caused political unrest. Relations between mages and Templars fell apart. The apostate blew up the Chantry, and the Knight Commander went mad. Other than that, it was fine.
The person who blew up the Chantry, by the way, is my Dragon Age 2's main character's boyfriend. So, yeah. Tell me about the rebellion.
What happened between Kirkwall's mages and Templars?
You were at the Conclave. You must have heard people speak of it.
Yes, but you were there.
There was tension between mages and Templars long before I arrived. Eventually, it reached a breaking point. There was fighting in the streets. Abominations began killing both sides. It was a nightmare.
Well, how did it end?
What happened then?
The Templars should have restored order, but Red Lyrian had driven Knight Commander Meredith mad. She threatened to kill Kirkwall's champion, turned on her own men. I'm not sure how far she would have gone. Too far.
So you opposed her?
I stood with the champion against her, in the end. I should have seen through Meredith sooner.
You mean Varric's from Kirkwall?
Varric's from Kirkwall. Did you two know each other?
I knew he was friends with the champion of Kirkwall, but little else. We've spoken more since I joined the Inquisition, largely at Varric's insistence. Apparently I spend too much time with a serious expression on my face, and it's bad for my health.
That's all for now.
I'll let you return to your work.
I'm sure you have other matters to attend.
Alrighty, so that just leaves speaking to Liliana and then going to the war table, and then we will... Oh, right, I have to fill the requisitions and turn in these side quests.
Walk safely.
Nice work.
Need something?
Never mind.
Carry on.
Right now, we just need to be careful.
You're back. And in one piece.
You said you thought Master Tajan was working on something special. If it helps, I found his notes.
The old codger was on the edge of a breakthrough here, but he couldn't see it. You want some of these mixed up? You just give the word.
Farewell.
That should do for you.
Alright. Okay, so whatever is interactable is outside of my range. There it is. Alrighty. So, now to talk to Liliana.
May I be with you?
To my one stable viewer, I'm sorry that you had to leave. Appreciate you watching while you could.
Blessed are the peacekeepers, the champions of the just. Blessed are the righteous, the lights in the shadow. In their blood, the Maker's will is written. Is that what you want from us? Blood? To die so that your will is done? Is death your only blessing? You speak for Andraste, no? What does the Maker's prophet have to say about all of this? What's his game?
Game?
How is this a game?
Do you see the sky? What about the temple ruins? The bones lying in the dust? Even if you didn't support the Divine's peace, you wouldn't call this right. Who could? So many innocent lives. The faithful murdered where the holiest of holies once stood. If the Maker willed this, what is it if not a game or a cruel joke?
I can't speak for
I speak for
Andraste.
no one but myself, and I have no answers for you.
Then we can only guess at what he wants. The Chantry teaches that the Maker abandoned us. He demands repentance for our sins. He demands it all. Our lives, our deaths. Justinia gave him everything she had, and he let her die.
My sympathies.
I'm sorry. Her death has clearly hit you hard.
Not just me. All of us. She was the Divine. She led the faithful. She was their heart. If the Maker doesn't intervene to save the best of his servants, what good is he? I used to believe I was chosen, just as some say you are. I thought I was fulfilling his purpose for me, working with the Divine, helping people. But now she's dead. It was all for nothing. Serving the Maker meant nothing.
Let me help you.
Maybe you have another purpose. I could help you find it.
No, this is my burden. I regret that I even let you see me like this. It was a moment of weakness. It won't happen again. Come. To work, then. We will speak later. True. Butler has stand on us. I hope my hunch was wrong.
You knew him well?
Not as well as I thought. Show me the reports. There were so many questions surrounding Farria's death. Did he think we wouldn't notice? He's killed Farria, one of my best agents, and knows where the others are. You know what must be done. Make it clean. Painless if you can. We were friends once.
Do you have to kill him?
Wait. What are you doing?
He betrayed us. He murdered my agent.
And you'd kill him? Just like that?
You find fault with my decision?
Killing isn't the answer.
We can't solve our problems with murder.
And what would you suggest? Leave him be. Butler's betrayal put our agents in danger. I condemned one man to save dozens. I may not like what I do, but it must be done. I cannot afford the luxury of ideals at a time like this.
Find a better way.
I expected better from the Inquisition's spy master.
You've made that point clear. Apprehend Butler, but see that he lives. Now, if you're happy, I have more work to do.
See if I can load an autosave. But I think that was it autosaving just now. So, not my character record. I want to see if I can try to have a slightly better... shite, yeah. Fuck, I don't want to go back a whole hour. Slightly better result.
Reports of fade rifts and demons keep coming. The people are terrified, and it's only getting worse. The only thing that will calm their fears now is the hope that someone out there can save them. You have to be that someone. No one else has any power over the rifts. Seal them. Your legend will spread, and Thedas will learn to trust the Inquisition.
Why do you care about mages?
Why do you want me to seek out the rebel mages? Why do you care?
I've known mages. Some of them were better people than me. And yet I'm free and they're not. It's not right.
You're Justinia's left hand.
They called you the left hand of the Divine.
That they did? What of it?
Tell me more about Justinia.
I'd like to hear about Justinia. What was she like?
A friend. A mentor. Like me, she had secrets, made mistakes. It made her human. I think her followers responded to that.
Were you more than friends?
Was there something more than friendship between you?
You're asking if we were lovers? Typical. I was devoted to her, therefore it must be romantic. Love is common. Love is simple. My bond with Justinia was something greater. She was a sister, a mother, a teacher. So to answer your question, yes, it was more than friendship.
How did you meet?
How did you and Justinia meet?
I met her a long time ago, before she became divine. Before she was Justinia. When I met her, she was Mother Dorothea. I was at my lowest. Broken, lost. And she saved me. No, wait. She hates it when I say that. I saved myself. She just showed me it was possible.
Let's continue this one later. Then,
yes.
Other topics.
They called you the left hand of the Divine.
That they did? What of it?
Alright. Why start an Inquisition?
What is the point of an Inquisition?
Justinia would have started the Inquisition if the Divine Conclave failed to restore peace. She hoped that with enough support, we could challenge the very tenets of the Chantry. She wanted the Chantry to treat the mages fairly. But sometimes I wonder, why stop at mages? The Chantry has committed many injustices. If we're going to change it, why not change the whole thing? It's just a thought. None of this will be possible if we fail.
I'm sorry she died.
I'm sorry she didn't live to see the Inquisition.
So am I.
What is the left hand?
What exactly does the left hand of the Divine do?
A Divine always has enemies, and Justinia had more than most. I protected her. I watched, had an ear to every door. I identified threats, and I dealt with them.
Why so many enemies?
Why did Justinia have so many enemies?
There were many who felt she was unfit to be divine. She had a past, a worldly life. And like many, she wasn't given to the Chantry as a child. She chose it. And somehow that made her unworthy. And because they thought she was unworthy, they wished her harm.
Sounds like a spy master.
So you were her spy master too?
I handled difficult situations that couldn't be resolved through more delicate means.
Why don't you join the party?
I could use the left hand of the Divine at my side out there.
Every agent out in the world is my eyes, my ears, my blade. Wherever my people are, I am also. Coming with you, leaving my post, would blind and bound me. Do you see?
Yeah, I actually do.
We'll talk more later.
Okay. We are ready to do more on the war table.
And I shall embrace you. In my arms lies infant.
So summoning the War Council. Here we go. Ferelden. Another coin. Got 104 gold. Yay.
Any word?
Nothing yet.
Commander Cullen, your honor guard was a welcome sight at the Divine's Vigil. As a measure of thanks, I'm sending Ferelden arms and equipment for your troops. Splendid news. Lord Trevelyan's relatives have become much more careful about invoking the name of the Inquisition. In fact, they appear to be deliberately avoiding me as well, as if they're afraid that the more the Inquisition scrutinizes them, the more they may be made to clear out our eyes. The more they may be made clear to our eyes. Just imagine. I trust you are in good health. How does the left hand of the Divine fare these days? Please pass on my compliments to Sister Lady Anna, whose work I always admire. Best regards, Lady Buttleford. Okay. Ruffles, I need a favor. Actually, let's call it a loan, since I'll pay it back. I got a letter from my editor in Kirkwall today. She tells me that Hard in Hightown 3, the repunching, appeared in print from an Antivan printer a couple weeks ago. I'll give you a moment to contemplate the horror that is the title. I had my contacts in the Merchants Guild look for the author a couple years back. The best they could find out after spending a couple hundred gold was that Feral Beneverth is a pen name. I could have told them that for free. You've got contacts with the Antivan print houses. Maybe you could find out more with the guild. Sorry, more than the guild. The author has invaded the Merchants Guild. The Crows might be a better choice for investigating him.
Let's see what we have.
Okay. Ooh. The Black Emporium. Voices on the winds speak of a new power in the world. Inquisition, they whisper, an ancient name to be restored, a memory rekindled and transformed into a blaze of hope. I hear the whispers and summon of the fires of the Inquisition. Here in the depths beneath the City of Chains, countless mysteries hide in shadow in anticipation of the light. Come, the Black Emporium awaits. Zenon the Antiquarian must spend his days composing melodramatic invitations to his establishment. Imagine being stuck in a chair for centuries leaves one somewhat lacking for entertainment. This particular message was hand-delivered by a cloaked figure at twilight, precisely as the sun disappeared beneath the peaks. My men spied the courier lurking about our outer gates for at least an hour waiting for sunset. A servant under command of some very specific instructions, I assume. That aside, I would encourage a visit to the Black Emporium. The Antiquarian's hoard is legendary. Only those he deems worthy lay eyes on it. The champion of Kirkwall received an invitation once and reported, among other things, a strange mirror that could transform even flesh and bone. Who knows, we may even uncover something that aids in the battle against Corypheus. Liliana. The ship has been secured. Be wary of what you find in the Black Emporium, Inquisitor. I have heard many frightful tales. Cullen. Spellbinders buff their allies with special properties. Take them out first to weaken your enemies. Tactical camera allows you to coordinate your movements. Okay. Welcome to the Black Emporium. Yeesh.
Where is the urchin? I require the services of the urchin!
I left the Black Emporium empty-handed for two reasons. First, most of the items were priced far beyond what I could afford. Second, I spent most of my short time there, trying to sate my curiosity about its proprietor. I found myself stealing glances at the antiquarian from behind the piles of books, between shelves, at one point over a basket of mismatched socks. There he sat petrified in the center of the emporium, skin of waxy gray over an ancient taut sinew, moaning in a voice so dry and brittle it sounded like the snapping of twigs after a drought. A girl of not more than 12 scurried to and fro to fulfill his numerous requests. Another patron, nosed by fascination, told me that the girl, most likely an urchin rescued from the street, was responsible for the needs of the antiquarian, feeding, washing, and the like. So impossibly old he is, and so he is so fragile as his skin, he can only tolerate the barest whisper of touches from the smallest and most tender of his servants. Only in this way may he come close to his lost youth. I was surrounded by objects of legend, yet none fascinated me as much as did the antiquarian. All right. The Mirror of Transformation. Let's go ahead and change my hair, maybe. Maybe get a nose job. JK. Nah. Leave everything as is.
Well, I'm obviously in no position to judge.
Weapons and accessories. Yowza. Those are artifacts, bud. Shit. So, schematics of legend. Shite. Artifact tier schematics. Just wow. Okay.
Send my regards to the Lady Ambassador. Her ancestor visited the Emporium in the Blessed Age.
I
felt a candle mounted with the severed hand of a first acolyte of Razikiel. I wonder, do the Montiliers still have it in their possession? I should like to see it again.
Okay. So there's a table with legendary schematics and weapons right there. If only that we had the funds. All right. Next. The hinterlands.
World of Andraste. I've heard the stories. Everyone has. We know what you did at the breach. Everyone's a little nervous around mages right now, but you'll get no backtalk here. That's a promise. Inquisition Scout Harding, at your service. Well, all of us here, will do whatever we can to help.
Harding, huh? Ever been to Kirkwall's Hightown?
I can't say I have. Why?
You'd be Harding and... No, never mind.
Pleased to meet you.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
We should get to business. The situation's pretty dire. We came to secure horses from Redcliffe's old horsemaster. I grew up here, and people always said that Dennett's herds were the strongest and the fastest this side of the Frostbacks. But with the Mage Templar fighting getting worse, we couldn't get to Dennett. Maker only knows if he's even still alive. Mother Giselle's at the crossroads helping refugees and the wounded. Our latest reports say that the war's spread there too. Corporal Vale and our men are doing what they can to help protect the people, but they won't be able to hold out very long. You best get going. No time to lose.
Word for you.
Report.
What is it?
See for yourself, sir.
Five's Drakestone is what I need in order to complete that requisition. Alright, time to go ahead and level everyone up. If I had the money to buy the respec amulets for all the characters, I would have, but I only had the one that was available for me. So, let's go ahead and character record. Okay, let's go ahead and get a passive ability going since I've only chosen active abilities so far. There we go. Next, Varric. Let's see where he has the most already invested. He has one there and one there. Let's go ahead and focus on his sabotage specialty. One passive. Let's see. The worst mistake your enemies can make is to let you see them flinch. Okay. Stamina restored, cunning or dexterity boost. Okay. All of your thunder and poison effects last longer as you make more potent toxins and uglier wounds. Okay. I think I'll go with that there. And okay. Now for Cassandra. Last but not least, Solas. Okay. Once we have saved Mother Giselle. Oh, right. Side quest right here that we might need to pick up. once we've saved Mother Giselle, I'll go through the Codex again, one more time before we sign off. Before I jump into Andromeda for the day. Brethus, I know you escaped with the other mages, and I know if you'll come here, Father told you that Father told you that if you ever strayed, he'd put you down himself. If you're here, you know he's dead, but I'm not. I'll be killing apostates and waiting for you at Old Phoenix Place to the north. I've got Father's sword and my true brothers in the Templars. Come if you're mad enough. Oh.
That may be worth investigating.
Ooh, that is a threat. Seriously. Brother turning against brother? That's not fun. Let's go.
Mother Giselle ought to be around here somewhere.
Okay. Go ahead and get my phone plugged in, so... I had my controller plugged in so it wouldn't go dead, but... my phone is the source of my internet connection, so having to... keep this very, very tentative link set up. Okay. Here we go. Entering combat.
Inquisition forces. They're trying to protect the refugees.
Looks like they could use a hand.
We are not Templars. We mean you no harm.
Doesn't look like they're listening.
Be ready. More coming our way.
That's the end of it.
There are mages here who can heal your wounds. Lie still.
Don't touch me, Mother. Their magic is...
Turn to noble purpose. Their magic is surely no more evil than your blade.
What?
Hush, dear boy. Allow them to ease your suffering.
Mother Giselle?
I am. And you must be the one they are calling the Herald of Andraste.
And against the use of magic.
To that soldier?
We do not teach that magic is evil. We teach that pride is evil, and does not corrupt only mages. But I did not ask you to come simply to debate with me.
Then why am I here?
I know of the Chantry's denouncement. and I am familiar with those behind it. I won't lie to you. Some of them are grandstanding, hoping to increase their chances of becoming the new divine. Some are simply terrified. So many good people, senselessly taken from us.
It was a tragedy.
What happened was horrible.
Fear makes us desperate, but hopefully not beyond reason. Go to them. Convince the remaining clerics you are no demon to be feared. They have heard only frightful tales of you. Give them something else to believe.
Appeal to them.
You want me to appeal to them?
If I thought you were incapable, I wouldn't suggest it.
Will they even listen?
Let me put it this way. You needn't convince them all. You just need some of them to doubt. Their power is their unified voice. Take that from them and you receive the time you need.
Thank you.
It's good of you to do this.
I honestly don't know if you've been touched by fate, or sent to help us, but I hope. Hope is what we need now. The people will listen to your rallying call, as they will listen to no other. You could build the Inquisition into a force that will deliver us, or destroy us. I will go to Haven, and provide Sister Leliana the names of those in the Chantry who will be amenable to a gathering. It is not much, but I will do whatever I can.
Corporal Vale is coordinating the Inquisition's efforts in the area. We should speak with him.
Right. Okay. Let's go ahead and see if there are any codex entries that we haven't read. Okay. I'm not going to read these aloud. I'm going to go ahead and skim them myself, but I'm going to give everyone enough time to read them. Okay. Okay. Gonna go ahead and scroll back up to the top. Okay. I'm getting to realize that more people leave when I read these aloud. So I'm just gonna quickly skim these real quick. Okay. People also seem to leave when I talk to NPCs, so that's, I mean, that's a thing. But, okay. 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 Which of these have I not read yet? There and there. Okay. The Black Emporium. Okay. Okay. That list of resources may come in handy later, because it'll help me know where I need to look for things and quests. And the tutorials, I will always read whenever they pop up on the screen, so, but I've already read these all aloud, so, alright. I'm gonna go ahead and take a break, pour what's left of my tea, and then we'll jump into not Dragon Age Inquisition, Mass Effect Andromeda, also by BioWare. I don't remember where exactly I left off with that. I'm gonna try to only play that for about an hour though, despite how addictive BioWare games are to me, and do some time in 9 persons, 9 doors, 9 hours. So, anyway, see ya.